Hello and welcome to the 6-Day Startup. Congratulations on making a start in your boxing journey, and thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. My name's Chris, I'm the head coach at Boxing Brothers Online Coaching, and I cannot wait to help you begin your journey. So to begin, we're going to start with the footwork, the most important foundation of building a boxer. What you want to do is determine whether you're going to be Southpaw or Orthodox. You need to choose one or the other moving forward. So Southpaw is boxing with your right foot forward and your left foot back, which is often favourable for left-handers, or you're going to go Orthodox with your left foot forward and your right foot back, which is favourable for right-handers. Irrespective to whether you're left or right-handed, you can choose either. But whatever you do choose, make sure you stick to it moving forward, just to keep things simple and progress according to that one stance. Okay, so once you've made the decision whether you're going to be Orthodox or Southpaw, we're going to start with the foot positioning. So I want you to bring your feet together. Now from here, whatever foot you've decided to have as your rear foot, I want you to come up onto your heel. In this instance, I'm using my right foot because I'm an Orthodox boxer. So I'm coming up on my right heel with my toes pointing up, and I'm going to roll that foot out at 90 degrees. From here, I'm going to come up onto the ball of that same foot, and I'm going to roll it again so that it is now pointing forward in the same direction as my other foot. So you'll see now that I have both toes pointing forward. Now with my lead foot, I'm going to take a small step forward and out, just on a little bit of an angle. This is my general boxing stance. Now, 3 things you want to remember and maintain to the best of your ability when you're doing your footwork. The first one is feet shoulder width apart. You might see where my shoulders are. My feet are at the same width as my shoulders, relatively. Sometimes they're going to come a little bit closer and further apart, but this is generally where you want them positioned. The second cue is both toes pointing forward. So oftentimes that rear foot will point out, and that's okay, but you always want to try to be turning that hip, squaring up your hips a little bit, and getting those toes pointing into the same direction so that they can eventually direct your punches towards your opponent. And the last one is going to be rear toes behind your lead heel. So in this instance, if I show you side on now, when I'm in my boxing stance, I want to avoid allowing my rear toes to intersect the positioning of my left heel. Imagine a line that divides your lead heel and your rear toes. So I don't want that rear foot coming too far up. I want to keep it back so I have a little bit of balance at the rear, okay? Just a quick run through: feet shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward, and rear toes behind the lead foot. Make sure you keep those 3 cues as best as you can, and you'll have no worries. Okay, so once we've established our foot positioning, we're going to start moving. We're going to begin with moving forward and backwards. So in your boxing stance, I want you to lead with your front foot on the ball of your foot so the heel remains off the ground, and I'm going to be stepping forward with the lead foot, just a small step, and then I'm going to follow with the rear foot, bring it up back into my original position. So I'm leading with my front foot and I'm following with my rear. Leading with my front, following with my rear. Always going back to my original stance. When I go backwards, it's going to be a similar concept. I'm leading with my rear and then I'm following with my lead. I'm leading with my rear, following with my lead, okay? And I'm sliding on the balls of my feet, okay? I'm not lifting my feet up too high. I'm not sticking them to the ground either. I'm just gliding forward on the ball of my foot. My heel remains off the ground, and then I'm following with that rear. Lead foot, rear foot. Lead foot, rear foot. Going backwards, rear foot, lead foot. Rear foot, lead foot. And trying to maintain all those cues as best as I possibly can. We're going to do this for 1 minute. Let's go, guys. Okay, excellent. Moving on to moving laterally. So I'm not going to elaborate as to how we need to position our feet. In your boxing stance, we're going to be moving left and right. From your boxing stance, when you move to your left, you lead with your left foot, you follow with your right. When you go to your right, you lead with your right foot, you follow with your left. You want to make sure that the following foot doesn't come in too close. So if I go across to my left, step across with my left foot, when I bring my right in, I don't want to be coming in too narrow. I want to come back to my original stance every single time. We're going to be doing this 5 steps to the left, 5 steps to the right for 1 minute. Let's go. Excellent. So another way to move to the left and the right is circling, and probably the most commonly used movement in the ring bar boxers. So what I've got in the middle of the ring here is a cone. So I do recommend that you use something to gauge the way that you're moving. So what I want to be doing is, imagine I'm in my boxing stance and my belly button is facing that cone the entire time. And what I want to be doing is circling around that cone, maintaining the distance between myself and the object, okay? I don't want to, as I'm moving around, get further away from the cone, nor do I want to get closer to the cone. And I want to make sure that I don't end up going side on from the cone either. I want my toes pointing to that cone, my belly button pointing to that cone, and I'm going to lead out with the foot that is traveling in that direction first. So if I'm moving to my right, I'm going to circle out with my right. I'm going to swing my right heel out and bring my lead foot in as it follows, okay? Making sure that I'm facing that cone. I'm going to go all the way around, 180, 360, doesn't really matter. Then I'm going to go around the other way. I want to make sure that I'm facing that object the entire time that I'm moving around and trying to maintain the distance between myself and that object. Let's get this done for 1 minute, guys. Okay, next is going to be a very sudden change in direction. We're going to work on our pivots, okay? Pivoting is a really important tool to have, and we're going to start off doing it all off the lead foot. So there are many ways to pivots and to cut angles and to change directions. That stuff we can work on in the future. Today, I'm just showing you the basics, just to get the ball rolling. So, in your boxing stance, I want you to make sure that you're pivoting off your lead foot for today, okay? So your left foot is your point of axis and your right foot is going to orbit left and right. So from this position, if I want to pivot backwards, I'm going to bring my heel up on my lead foot and I'm going to spin at 90 degrees. We're going to keep it to 90-degree pivots just to have a little bit of some boundaries and some control in our drills, okay? So I'll show you that one side on. So in my boxing stance, my lead foot, I'm coming up on the ball of my foot so that I can pivot on the ball of my foot, and I'm turning, all right, I'm whipping back, and my rear foot is going to whip back, and I'm going to put my weight on that rear foot, okay? And I want to make sure that both feet are traveling at the same time. Both feet are traveling at the same time. You want to avoid delaying. What I mean by delaying is, in this position, if I come up on my lead foot and I spin back, I've brought that rear foot back, but I've left this one here, I could hurt my ankle. Okay, I want to be turning everything at the same time. So from this position, everything moves simultaneously. I literally pick up my stance from here and I turn. Everything turns at the same time. That's pivoting backwards. Pivoting forward is the same thing, just in rewind. So from this position, just to reiterate, I pivoted backwards. Now I'm just going to pivot forward. So the exact same thing, just turning in the opposite direction. Your left foot, your lead foot is your point of axis and your rear foot orbits around. What I want you to do is 90-degree pivots, 4 in one direction and then 4 in the other. So from this position, I'm going to be pivoting 90 degrees. Reposition yourself, get your balance, make any adjustments that you may feel you need to make with your feet, any corrections you may need to make, the positioning of them, etc., your balance, and then go again in the same direction. Good, that's 2, 3, and then 4, and essentially should be ending up back facing the same way you were facing. When you get back in front of your starting point, you want to do it in the opposite direction. So from here, I'm going to be going 1, pivoting forward, 2, excellent, 3, and then 1 more, 4. We're going to do this for 1 minute, guys. Pivoting backwards, pivoting forward. Make sure you pivot, stop, reassess your footwork, make any corrections, then continue. Let's go. Well done, guys. What we're going to do now is bring everything together. So we're going to do a round of footwork for 1 minute. And I want you to incorporate as much as you possibly can. I'm not saying to necessarily increase the intensity. I want you to maintain that mild composure. This is a technical session. This is how you learn technical boxing. Most gyms you go to, they will show you the footwork first and they'll get you to drill that footwork for as long as you can at the beginning to build a really strong foundation. So what I want you to do now is I want you to get into your stance. I want you to move forward. I want you to move backwards. I want you to move to your right, to your left, circle to the left, circle to the right, pivot backwards, pivot forward. I want you to cover all of the major components we've done so far for 1 minute. Do your absolute best. What we're also going to do is incorporate the guard. Okay, so the guard is as follows. Fingertips to your temple. Now there are many guards. There's Philly shell. There's, peekaboo style Mike Tyson with that low guard. Okay, there's the kind of Soviet kind of style with the hands up, the real European style with that long lead hand. There's so many guards. Here at our gym, we teach a really tight guard. Fingertips to the temple, elbows in, chin down, okay? This is what I've taught all the boys and girls that have come to the gym. This is what I was taught. This is how everyone here kind of fights. Fingertips to the temple, elbows in, chin down. The benefits of this guard are huge, and we will explain those as we go along. For now, take my word for it, fingertips to your temple, elbows in nice and tight, chin down. That's how I want you to keep your guard. You don't need to be tense, but you need to be tight, okay? So while you're doing this round of footwork, I want you to touch your temples, fingertips to the temple, elbows in and down, chin down, and continue with your footwork. Let's go 1 minute, guys. Excellent work. So one thing you can do to kind of progress that with your footwork is to try to keep moving. Try not to come to a complete halt. So for example, if I'm moving backwards and I want to start moving around to my left, rather than moving backwards, stopping, and then moving to my left, I'm going to plan ahead. Okay, so I'm going to start moving backwards. When I know I'm going to run a little bit of room or I want to change direction, I'm going to make a smooth transition from moving backwards to my left. From here, I might want to pivot to my right. I'll pause that lead foot and pivot and then start moving backwards. This is another way to progress it. Try to do this for a minute. Move around, hands up, elbows in, chin down, and keep your feet moving. You don't need to go faster, but your transitions traveling from one direction to another need to be really smooth. This will help you acquire fluidity in your footwork and balance as you're moving around. It also builds up good habits for the future because it's harder for your opponent to hit a moving target than it is to hit a still target. Do a round of footwork, 1 minute, try to stay on the move. Okay, another little progression that we can incorporate to our footwork is increasing and decreasing the intensity and the tempo of your footwork. You want to make sure that you don't do it at the expense of your composure. So what I'm going to get you to do now is I'm going to get you to move around at a nice mild tempo like we've been doing up until now. But every now and again, I want you to get on your bike. That's the term I like to use, okay? So in your boxing stance, you might be traveling backwards. You might be going backwards, and then suddenly you need to spike your tempo because you've received pressure. So you need to kind of kick back. Okay, what I want you to do is to come up, bring your weight up, maintain your stance, the positioning of your feet, your composure, and just increase the speed of whatever direction it is you're traveling, okay? And then slow it down again, get control, continue moving, changing directions, etc. I'm not recommending that you go flat out all the time, but every now and again, stagger it. Again, you might be moving forward. I might be moving forward. My opponent has created a little bit of distance and I want to chase him down. I'm just picking up the speed of my feet so that I can chase my opponent down, try to consume that space between the two of us, possess the center of the ring. So I want you to move around now, and every now and again, increase the speed for a few steps and then slow it down again, continue moving. Brainstorm what direction you want to travel in and try to do this in every direction. Circling out to the left, circling out to the right, backwards, left, right, forward, pivoting, etc. Let's go. So we're going to leave it at that for this session. That's a lot to take in. What I recommend is you go back and you do all those 1 minute rounds again, moving forward and backwards, left and right, circling to the left and right, pivoting, smooth transitions, doing a little bit of everything, picking up the speed, and really practice all your footwork. As far as how long do you need to do this for, it is ongoing. You're continuously trying to improve your footwork. There shouldn't be a time where you stop focusing on just your feet on their own. Practice it as much as you possibly can. Try to divide them into forward and back, left and right, around to the left and right, pivoting, etc. Bring them all together. And as time progresses, you will develop your own initiative as to how you should be practicing your footwork. Well done. Keep practicing that footwork. I'll see you at the next session.